Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan, and in this CEU course module, we're going to talk about recovery nutrition guidelines for rowers. So, the learning objectives you'll be able to know after this presentation is the 3 R's of recovery. You'll understand timing and co-ingestion strategies, and you'll be able to customize recovery based on training load and session frequency. So, it's important to understand why recovery nutrition matters. It can be often overlooked. Because once you're done with your exercise, you just want to relax maybe or whatnot. But to understand, it maximizes training adaptations, supports glycogen replenishment and muscle repair, reduces soreness and injury risk, and it's essential when you're less than 8 hours between training sessions, especially when you're doing 2 or 3 times a day in a collegiate level. So, as mentioned previously in other modules, these are the 3 R's of recovery. You have refuel, which is to replenish glycogen with carbohydrates. Repair is to stimulate muscle protein synthesis with high quality protein. And third R is rehydrate, which is restore fluid and electrolyte balance. So this table summarizes the 3 R's of recovery with recommended targets for collegiate rowers. Like as previously mentioned, these are the purpose of the 3 R's. And here it's important to note the timing. So the refuel, of course, you're on it within 30 to 60 minutes exercise. Within 30 to 60 minutes post-exercise, the same for repair. And then rehydrating should be beginning immediately post-exercise. Your targeted intake for carbs should be 1 to 1.2 grams. Proteins is 20 to 25 grams. For about a lightweight rower, and then heavyweight, you can probably push that to 40 grams per kilogram of protein, and of course rehydrating 1.5 times the fluid loss based on body weight loss. So it's important to understand that recovery must match the training stress. The greater the load, the more intense and urgent the recovery strategy must be. So listed here is the estimated minimum recommended carb intake for a rower based on the training load. And of course, we have some sample foods to align with it. So of course, the carb to protein ratio is 3 to 1 all across the board, which is important. It's the most optimal that we've talked about in other modules. And of course, here it goes the train load from top to bottom is low to the highest on race day. So starting at the top with the low load here, we're going to stay about 3 to 5 grams or kilograms for carbs. Then we're going to move on to 5 to 7 grams once we get to a moderate load. And then we get to a little bit higher, we get to that 7 to 10 grams, which is the 10 grams of carbs is pretty high, considering talked in previous modules as well. It's very beneficial for the rowers to be consuming that amount of carbs with that amount of training load. And then come race day, pre-carb loading, you're going to want 10 to 12 grams at least. And then immediately after race, you're going to be at least wanting to stay in that range of 1 to 1.2 grams per carb, grams of kilogram of carb. And here we of course have a line with the protein and post-exercise carbs as well. You can follow with. Here we're able to see the goals of the training loads. And here is a template I created that a coach can use to customize recovery based on the training load and session frequency for the rowers. It can be modifiable based on their body weight, training load, and session frequency. So if you take a look here, of course you can put body weight, training load, session frequency, because everyone has different goals. And of course these are the recovery nutrition targets based on the amount of load, and some hydration strategies I included. I think what's important to note, I think that in the top right is over here, I included formulas for reference for an individual to follow based on their body weight and calculate the recovery nutrition target more accurately. So of course this can be self-reported, or have someone, the medical staff, coaches, essentially have this for one of the rower athletes, of course, and they're able to track and log their meal snack planning, and of course have any notes here. Just make it as easy to read and efficient as possible. I try to make this template. But yeah, here we'd have for the refueling of their carbs. This is post exercise once again for the recovery post exercise, so not normally, but for that refuel, want to at least get that a gram to 1.2 grams of carbs times their body weight in their body, and then for the repair, 0.3 to 0.4 grams of protein times their body weight, and then finding out the fluid loss and drinking that 1.5 times. In this slide, it just highlights the main information of this module. Let's go over to what I just previously mentioned. Here we have the 3 R's of recovery, once again, and the values that we should follow. And it's important to emphasize that timing is key, and you want to eat within that 30 to 60 minutes post-exercise for some efficient recovery nutrition. And of course, to include, you want to have high GI carbs and complete proteins. And for some smart and efficient recovery strategies, you're going to want to, of course, customize intake by the training load and session frequency of the individual, and potentially incorporate portable snacks, chocolate milk, fruit, whey. Just makes it convenient, I imagine, for the athlete and staff. And of course, you want to spread protein across the day and casein before sleep. Once again, we've talked about it in other modules, but the casein before sleep is a part of recovery nutrition, and helps stimulate muscle protein synthesis overnight, which is proven to be effective. And here I have a knowledge check on the module I just presented. I'm going to take a minute and pause it and read it, and then the next slide will be the answer. Hopefully you got the answers right. And here are my references. Thank you so much.